Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Competitive Speed Series. My name is Frostbeth and I'll be your commentator for tonight. This is the PC tier, the one and only tier for the PC in fact. And we'll soon see the 9 teams joining in tonight's lobby. 2 weeks ago you saw the qualifying night where ABS was pretty quick. Now the big question is, can they live up to that reputation, or was it just a one-off fluke in qualifying? We'll find out tonight as we officially start the season. Coming up on the calendar tonight, first and foremost, of course, is Portugal. Let's see how the calendar looks for this season. Portugal tonight, as you can see, followed next week by Austria, United States in Miami. We have France and Italy for the first half of the season, then a break week followed by the Netherlands, Spain, Qatar, Japan, and the season finale in Abu Dhabi. As I said, there's 9 teams out of 10, so there are still 2 slots available. But I'm quite sure the roster is already set. All of these 9 teams have slotted in 2 drivers for this race here. Several reserves are standing by just in case it's necessary. We'll be on our way very, very soon. Let's see who we will see for all the teams tonight. We have for the ABS Racing team, which is also the only team still missing from the lobby, Noé Grosjean and Hervé Coutin, both from France. We have for the Spark eSports teams, we have Magic and David Diaz, both from Spain. For the F1 Friends Cup, we have Aaron Ramirez, Raúl Reyes from Spain and Chile. We have GS Gaming with Gabriel Decol and Romain Foulon, both from France. Then for the Euro Titans Esports, aka ETE, we have Beaver and Romain Dijmay from Canada and the USA. Then for the Elite Racing Team, aka ERT, we have Timo Geurts from the Netherlands, just like myself, and George Shockley from Great Britain. Then Team GRS, we have Luke Mills and Crythelium, I hope I pronounced it correctly, both from Great Britain as well. Then for the WR Esports team, we have Mizi and Jernej Dovjan from Czechia and Slovenia. And then for the Outplayed Racing team, aka OP, we have Candy King and City Sly Guy from Finland and, well, according to the Discord, Zimbabwe. It's gonna be good, and I'm definitely looking forward to what will be happening tonight. The grid is pretty much ready, the lobby is as full as it can be, so all we're waiting for right now is for this to get underway. Just waiting for the drivers to ready up, and they'll be heading for a short qualifying of 18 minutes, followed by 33 laps in Portugal. The weather is set to clear, and so that means, yes, 18 players, yes. So that means the weather will not be playing a factor. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be the case, but there will be no rain here tonight. Ace is actually saying in the Discord it should be dynamic, but it's still on a sun thingy. So I wonder if the settings are currently correct. There we go, the weather's been set to dynamic now, so I wonder if we'll see any rain in Portugal. It is Portugal after all, so, you know, you never really know whether it's going to rain or not. It's been a while since I've been on this track. In the game as well. Of course, it's no longer on the official F1 calendar. Doesn't take away the fact that this track is quite interesting. With, you know, it's quite a hilly one. Not as hilly as, say, Spa, for example. But plenty of the track is going up and down, making some of the corners very, very tricky indeed. For example, turn 3 from the top of my head. One of the trickier corners to get right, where you have to turn right and go uphill at the same time, meaning it can be quite challenging indeed. We're on our way, they are all readying up, and 18 drivers will soon be going to the track to see which team will be the fastest in qualifying. And I'm very curious. Let's see if which car is the ABS team driving tonight, both in the Ferraris. The only car I will not be seeing out on track is the Haas car. We see 2 McLarens, The McLaren is used by the WR team. GRS team is using the Williams car. GS is using the Aston Martin. ERT is being driven by the... ERT is driving the Alfa Romeo car. Then we have the OP team in the Alpha Tauri. Red Bull is for ETE and the Alpine is for Spark. Not to mention the FFC team, the F1 Friends Cup in the Mercedes and ABS in Ferrari. And then we will be good to go. All settings should now be correct, hopefully. Yes, I know the calendar overlay is still enabled. There is not much to see other than the lobby readying up. And that's basically what I'm waiting for. And then the calendar will be removed and then we'll be officially on our way here in Portimao for the first round here on PC Tier 1. I've also finally found out how to remove my cursor from the game screen. That's been a minor annoyance since a few months now. But I finally figured out how to remove it, so it should no longer be on your stream screen. Just waiting for the final few drivers to properly ready up. And then we'll see what the weather is. And how qualifying will be going. As I said before, ABS came very strong out of the gates. The fastest team during qualifying night. There we are, and it's flat out sunny here. Let's enable the lap data. The track map, of course, also very important indeed. And here we are, 18 drivers. Of course, let's find out which team will be the best. And which team will take to the track first? I wonder how long it's been since any of these drivers have been around Portugal, apart from tonight. And they probably practiced quite hard before this. As we see the first driver leaving the pit lane. That's Silly Sly Guy. One of the drivers for the Outplayed Racing team. The first to set to the track. Followed a little while behind by Luke Mills from a GRS in the Williams. One of the Mercedes is leaving the garage as well, Aaron Raminguez. We also have the second AlphaTauri of Candy King leaving and the first Aston Martin of... Let's see who that is. It says Kiko here on my screen. But I remember correctly, that is actually Rome. No, it's not Rome because he's in there as well. It's actually Gabriel Decombe. So his name is different here on in the game. We also had another driver who had a different name, but it goes by the name of Beaver. Thankfully he changed it before this started, because I wouldn't have been able to pronounce it without Twitch going haywire. Anyway, we're about to get going. The first driver warming up his tires, if that is still necessary here in Portugal because of the high temperatures most of the year, is of course Silly Sly Guy. Behind his name was a Zimbabwean flag, so he might have roots from there, which is quite amazing. I've never seen a driver in the game with African roots before. So let's see how he will do, as he is on the main straight right now, just ahead of all the traffic leaving the pit box right there. Negotiating the tricky track that is Portimao. Nice and easy through the corner there. Uphill we go, then onwards to the back straight. 2 DRS straights, of course, on this track. We have a yellow flag already. I believe that was George there, George Chalkley, going slow, moving out of the way of other quick cars. Thankfully, no silly accidents just yet, but you never really know. As I said, this track is quite tricky. This corner especially is hard to get right, but it looks like Sly Guy is getting it perfectly there. Downhill pretty quick there. Nice view from the camera at that point as we're getting closer to the finish line. 1 minute, 1 minute 16 should be a nice benchmark, I think. Considering I personally do 1:18s during the race, and I'm not that fast of a driver, to be fair. just a few more corners to go. Then the long right-hander, the final corner of the track. There's also the DRS detection point over here. Quite a ways away from the actual DRS zone, which starts just before the start-finish line. And across the line we go. A 16.3 will be the opener of the night. The next to cross the line, I believe, is not a Crithylam. It is actually Luke Mills, just about a tenth of a second behind City Sly Guy. The next to cross the line is one of the Alpine cars, actually starting a hot lap right there, unless they invalidate it, of course. And we have there we go. It's Gabriel going fastest overall with a 16.0. Quite a lot quicker than City Sly Guy. Now let's quickly switch to the ABS guys. Erin Courtin is on his way right now. I believe Noé Grosjean is quite a lot closer to the finish line. The purple middle sector already on his name. And that is quite promising for the team in red. ABS were quite quick during the official qualifying night. If you disregard everything else, they were the quickest team overall. As they had Matthew Bassett as one of their drivers. And let's see how Noé Grosjean does. And once again, proving that they are potentially the team to beat. But it is incredibly close between the top three right now. We have Noé Grosjean in first, then Gabriel in second, Beaver in third. And look at the differences between those three drivers. Jonej Dovjan has just come in fourth position for the time being with a 16.2. As slowly all times are starting to enter our list here. We have 8 drivers with a time on the board right now. I'm quite sure, yeah, there we go. Some of these drivers have already invalidated their lap. It's the Aston Martins right behind one another. One of them having set a lap time, the other hasn't. And I think they're both going to come in. And that will be a bit of a problem for the pit box as he brakes very late before he enters. The slowest right now is Magic from the Spark Esports team. Both Alpine cars currently in the last 2 positions. We have Raoul Ray slotting in 4th position. Let's see if anybody else is still on their way. Is Timo Gertz currently going for something? Yes, he is potentially there. No, he's going back in. The battery was recharging there. As you can see the flashing light on the back of the car. And it looks like he will not be setting a lap time for now. His teammate George, though, currently 8th fastest. Not doing too bad there either. As Aaron Dominguez is getting ready for his hot lap. Roman Dishmay slots in 11th place. Just 1/100th of a second behind David Diaz. And he's now just splitting both Alpine cars at the back of the field. Under 12 minutes remain. The first third of this qualifying is already over. And almost everybody has set a lap time. 6 cars still have to set that lap time though. Most of them probably have invalidated their lap, which is not very difficult to do out here in Portimao, to be fair. Especially when you enter the back straight after, what's it, turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Yes. After turn 4, when you come into the back straight. In fact, I think actually Crithylam has just entered that part. Yes. Go a bit too wide here and you'll be in trouble. He's they're on their hot lap right now. Crithylam going quite well. Just under 2/10 quicker through the first sector alone. Which means they are well on their way for a very quick lap time. Needs to improve massively though. It's just over half a second slower right now, the time. 16.6. Let's see what they can do in the second sector. Ooh, lost quite a lot of time in the middle sector. Means they're now slower. And they've got some time to make up. Maybe they can find some through here. The corner, to be honest, not very difficult to mess up. Decided to go in straight away. The attempt was not working. Let's keep it at that. As I was trying to switch to Aaron, who was 15th, and I was gone up to 6th fastest. Quite an improvement. A 16.244. Done quite well there in the Mercedes. Both Mercedes cars doing decently well, in fact. 4th and 6th at the moment. ABS right now, Noé still the man to beat. Erwin Courtin at the moment on an out lap. In fact, he's just started the hot lap. Off he goes on the main straight. Let's see where he'll be going. 3 cars just exiting the pit lane, one of them being his teammate. No way. Let's see if he can live up to the reputation that ABS has already set in this competitive series. And at the first sector, what's it going to be? A 21.7. Now, I haven't really looked at the other times properly enough to know whether that's quick or not. Though the car seems to be a little bit nervous there through the corners when he stamps on the throttle. It looks to be a tiny bit twitchy. But of course, that is the nature of car setups on this track as well. You want to have a perfect balance between speed because of the long main straight. And of course, some downforce due to the tricky corners that go up and downhill all the time. One of the Alpines there going wide to make way for Irwin. Now one of the Alfa Romeos is ahead. That might be Timo, who is still on an outlap. His teammate is still in, George. Now let's see where Irwin can place the car on the grid. On the final corner on the main straight he goes. DRS should be just online there, across the line. And there we are, the first to go into the 1 minute 15s. And once again showing that ABS is really strong. But look at that! Suddenly the team is being split by the driver called Gabriel Descombe. And now we have an entire French top 3. All 3 of them are from France. Of course, Gabriel driving for the GS Gaming team. But he split them. He split the Ferraris as Noé has just started his hot lap over here. Let's see if he can improve. If anything from the past has something to say about that. Whoa! I was about to say he's going to improve, but then at that exact moment he decided to invalidate his lap. He saw the car going a little bit under oversteery, in fact, nearly losing control, and he went outside the track limits, meaning his lap is now no longer valid. So let's see who else is on the way. Jonas Dovjan, his teammate Mizi, is about to finish the hot lap. There he is. Let's see where he can place the car. 17th up to 4th fastest. Look at that. And once again show how incredibly tight P2 to P6 is right now. They're all in the 16 zeros. Which means, yeah, this is very promising for the race. Irwin right now in a league of his own. No way, I'm quite sure he could have gone faster if he hadn't had that moment between turns 1 and 2. Unfortunately, he will have to try again. The question is he going to try again straight away on this set of tires, or is he going to come in? The light at the back of the car isn't flashing, but he is coming in. A fresh set of tires will be required for this man to try again. Candy King then. And there we go. Beaver now fastest overall, and by quite the margin. Look at the time he's just posted. That is impressive. A 15.5, which is almost 0.3 of a second quicker than Irwin from ABS. And they'll be scratching their heads, somewhat in disbelief, how much quicker Beaver has just gone in the Red Bull. Speaking of Red Bulls, we have Romain now in last place. So we have a massive Red Bull sandwich, but he's just gone over 2.5 tenths quicker in the first sector alone. But he needs to find 1.3 seconds preferably to go quickest overall. So he needs to find a lot of time in the middle and final sector. Can he do it? That's the question. Whoa, going quite wide there, and there we go. For a moment I thought the game decided to not invalidate the lap because he might have lost some time, but the game is strict, the track limits are strict, and that means for now at least Romain remains in last place. It's a challenging day for him so far. He's only marginally slower than David, who is currently sitting in the pit box as well. Let's see if anybody else is on the way. It's Luke, currently a 10th quicker through the first sector in the Williams. He's just ahead of his teammate, but they are both not doing that great. They're on the second to last row of the grid at the moment. So, work to be done for the Williams team of Luke and Krythelum. One more corner to go, and then we'll see where Luke can improve to. Unless he's going back in. He is going back in. Not satisfied with the lap there. And that means they remain on the second to last row now. Look at Aaron Ramirez in the meanwhile, has improved to 2nd place. And right now, ABS is 3rd and 6th fastest. Looks like everybody else has decided to step up their game a little bit. As during qualifying night, ABS had the track to their own, to be honest. Now let's see where George can go to. His teammate is now 10th fastest. He was 9th for a while. He's now P12. And this lap is not going to be the one, I'm afraid. Everybody is very aggressive when entering the pit lane. Holy crap. I mean, they're all just braking just barely in time and just completely flat spotting their tires, if that was even a thing in the game. Nonetheless, they're all very eager to go in and get back out straight away. With 4 minutes remaining, it's no wonder. Time is starting to run out now. David Diaz, his light is still flashing, I wonder. There we go. He's gonna go for it. 2nd to last at the moment. Plenty of time to find his teammate Magic, currently 14th fastest. I'm not sure if I should pronounce it in the Spanish way, because if that's the case, I should probably say Magic or something like that. You know, Spanish just isn't my strongest side. I can speak 3 languages. Spanish is not one of them. Just over 1.5 tenths quicker than his previous attempt, as we see Cryothelum moving out of the way there for the Alpine to get past. Nice and easy does it. And now the pit lane is emptying, and emptying quick with 3 minutes remaining. We can see on the track map all the cars flooding out for their final attempt. But first, let's look where this man will be when he finishes his hot lap. His final attempt to go faster. He's just barely on the track limits. He's lost time through the middle sector. We see that's somewhat of a trend throughout this qualifying session, that the middle sector proves to be extremely tricky. We have a bit of a lag spike going on there, unfortunately. But let us see what they can do. David Diaz on the final corner. He had 1/100th to himself in the middle sector. Where can he go on the grid? Can he find some extra time in the final sector? He could find time. You saw it. He was going quicker by about 2 tenths. But it's still only 17th fastest. So now you have to pray that Romain Deschmay will not go any faster. Otherwise, he'll be starting from last. So then, the next one who will be coming across the line, or one of the next ones, is actually Erin Coutin. First sector already purple, just over 1/10 quicker than his previous attempt. He might be on his way to a provisional pole if he can keep the car straight without any of those twitchy moments we saw from both Ferraris tonight already, costing Noé Grosjean a potential better time than he already has, 16-0. Yes, we have ETE on pole and in last place as Beaver retires in the pit lane. He thinks it's enough, but we'll see. Eric Coutin is currently on an improvement, 3 tenths quicker at the moment through the middle sector. This might be spoiling the party for the Red Bull team. He's only got a few more corners to negotiate. One of the Alpines is getting scarily in the way right now. They're very close there. There it is. He might be using it as a tow, though. I think that might be the Alpine of Magic, who still has to go for a hot lap as we speak. And there he goes across the line. Is he going to be fastest? Yes, he is. A tiny margin it is, but he is now the fastest of the lot. Let's see who else can improve. Janesh Doshan is currently busy with an improvement, 1/2 tenth quicker through the first sector. It's not enough. He needs 1/2 second if he wants to go for a provisional pole, but the traffic is quite nasty. They thankfully move out of the way in time. There's cars literally everywhere on track right now. So who can beat Erwin Coutin? Is it his own teammate? Is it going to be anybody else? We'll see in a few minutes. Less than a minute remaining. And it's going to be tight. Very, very tight indeed. Between the top two alone, it's very tight. Aaron is going to improve most likely as well. But let's see where this man, WR, together with Measy, where can they place their McLarens? On the main straight, across the line. Is it fastest? No, but it is 3rd fastest. Pipping Aaron to the 3rd position, who in his turn has already invalidated his lap. So we're switching now to Noé Grosjean. The first sector, just over 1/10 quicker right there, just like his teammate was. But he needs to find, like everybody else, 1/2 second preferably. Luke Mills in 7th. Roman now improving to P7. Everybody is beating Noé to it. And look at that then. Everybody is going quicker. They're all race now in P6. We have Gabriel still hanging around in 5th place. They're on their way for an improvement as well. Let's see where are both Williams cars. Luke in 9th. Crythelum in 14th only. Many drivers now retiring in the pit lane. Where can Noé Grosjean go? He's lost time through the middle sector. It's not going to be pole position. That's a fact, unless he somehow can find loads of time in the final sector, which I strongly doubt. So then, is it going to be Erwin on pole position? Is Noé only going to start from 10th? That's the question. He will not be in pole, but can he improve, or is he going to go in the pit lane? No, he isn't. He's going to come across the line. He's not improving, and he's in fact been pushed down to the 11th now, as Candy King has gone 6th fastest. See, has anybody else improved? I don't think they have. Timo, is he still on his way? Yes, he is. Just over 1.5 tenths quicker through the middle sector. Where is he going to go? He does find quite a lot of time and goes 8th fastest, beating his teammate there to the line, who will start from 14th place. Now that was quite the qualifying there, but it is going to be Erwin Coutin starting from pole position. Beaver right behind him on the front row. Jeanette Dojan in 3rd place. Aaron Dominguez in 4th. And that will be the first 2 rows for the first race of this second season. So far so good. If the qualifying is any indication of what's to come in the race, then I'm very excited for it. If you're in the chat, do let me know which team you'll think will take the crown. Of course, I personally think the team's championship is more important here than the individual driver's championship. So I wonder if the teams are going to work together when they do start close together. Here, confirmation then that Eric Coutin will be starting from pole position. Beaver in 2nd, Jeanette Dojan in 3rd place, Aaron Dominguez in P4. Then we have Gabriel Decon in P5, Candy King in 6th, Raul Reyes in 7th, Timo Geurts in P8, Misi in 9th place. And then, of course, we have Romain Foulon rounding up the top 10. Then the rest of the grid looking like this. I'm surprised to see Noé Grosjean in P12 only. The Williams team have got the work cut out for them. The Alpines as well. They're looking to be on the back foot. The other teams have at least 1 car in the top 10. I fully agree, Samolia. We have a crazy race in the... crazy race awaiting for us. Now then, several leagues have their formation lap on. Some leagues have it off. So let's see what happens here. I'm not entirely sure from the top of my head whether we'll be having a formation lap here. Some leagues have reported issues with the formation lap. Others were perfectly fine with it. So it's no formation lap. Thank you for confirming that. I will show the race director screen after the race finishes. If I don't forget. Otherwise, please forgive me. So, tire strategy. I'm not entirely sure if the tire wear is high on this track, but since there's quite a few fast corners, it might just be very tricky. Especially, of course, the rear tires might get quite the hit, since you can easily lose control of the car here when going around the corner and uphill at the same time. I'll blame it on old age. Yes, I will. I mean, you're calling me old? I'm only 33. Some will call it old. Fair enough. Probably definitely older than most of the drivers here. Certainly not as fast, that's a fact. So let's see who'll be leading after the first corner or the first couple of corners, because turn 1 can be quite difficult to overtake. And I think it will be the combination of the first 3 corners that will determine who'll be leading after that moment, that point in time. Well, let's just wait until everybody's ready. Most likely, most drivers will be starting on the hards, then switching to the mediums, unless, of course, the medium to soft or vice versa is a valid option on this track. But we'll find out in just a few seconds, as we're just waiting for everybody to get underway. Still a shame that the spectators do not get to see a countdown timer until the race starts. It's just a surprise for me when we'll be on their way. I mean, all the drivers see the countdowns, and I'm not sure why I'm not seeing it. Oh well, it happens. Definitely looking forward to what will be happening here tonight. 18 cars ready to rumble. There we go then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. It's Eric Coutin starting from pole position with Beaver behind. And there we go, off and away. It looks like soft tires for Beaver, so he's gotten off the line just a little bit better. He will have the inside line in turn 1, and already leading the race. Off goes Beaver into the lead. Eric Rutan has to yield, of course, on the mediums. It looks like a mix of mediums and soft tires so far. Jonas Doshan, for example, on the mediums as well. Looks like a bit of a chaotic moment there, as we already have lost Noé Grosjean, having fallen and tumbled down to last position. I wonder if there's any damage to the car there. Look at that, Erwin Kuten tried to go on the inside, rather unsuccessfully though, as he will have to realize that for now the soft tires are going to be faster, and the race will be coming towards him in the later stages down the road. But of course, not only he is on the softs, Beaver that is, this man as well from WOR, challenging Erwin for second place. Is he gonna go on the inside? There we go, not usually a place where you'd like to overtake, but he does it nonetheless. Well done, up he goes into second place, Jernej. A very nice move indeed into the corner, an excellently executed one at it as well. Now let's have a quick look at the tires that are being used all throughout the field. Look at that, only 2 drivers started on the hard tires. City Sly Guy, David Diaz, all started on the hards. The most of the field started on the mediums, and only 2 drivers on the soft. So an interesting mix of strategies already as we approach the second lap of the race. A bit further back in the field, I think it's quite the kerfuffle between several drivers for a non-points paying positions. But look at Luke Mills, fallen down a little bit, now down in the 11th place. It looks like he's got his work cut out for him. Like I said before, Williams not in a great position at the moment as George tries to go on the inside there of Magic. Unsuccessful though. Now he's got the Red Bull of Romain Desmay right beside him. Was saying just behind him, but it's already beside him, and side by side he goes into the next corner. Not only them, but Cry Thielem and David Diaz fighting for a position as well. Looks like plenty of fights going on at the back of the field, potentially allowing Noé Grosjean to climb back through it. Let's see where he can end his car. Of course, the safety car might play a role whenever it happens. Do not forget that damage is on. So while fighting can be fierce and fearsome, they should not forget that their cars can break down if they get into contact with one another. So the soft tire users leading this race, 1 and 2, WOR and ETE, getting off to a great start. ABS for now on the back foot with Erwin, the only one running in the top 3. Noé probably having a nasty accident in the back. No damage, fortunately, as he's still going round and slowly starting to catch the Alpine and the Williams ahead. Look at this then, potentially an attack coming up here. No, not yet, but we do see something happening a bit further back. Once again, it's Magic versus City Sly Guy, overtaking one another. And not only them, it's Cry Thielem and David Diaz still fighting for position as well. So we have fights in the midfield, but not only there, but because it looked like it's Erwin trying to come back. Now the DRS is enabled, and it's Jernej going for the move for first position, and he goes side by side. It's Beaver fighting back the best he can. He's got the outside and then the inside line over here, but it looks like Jernej is growing more speed, and round he goes. Beaver most likely got into contact there with Jonas Dovjan as they came together there. He's now lost all the position, and the race is in the bin. All he can hope for now is a safety car. Erwin Coutin is now fighting the McLaren for the lead of the race. Aaron Dominguez has moved up a position, as has mostly everybody else, literally everybody else. In fact, as Beaver has fallen behind the field quite far. He's now far behind, 3 seconds in last place, 18th and last. So already drama unfolding in the first few laps for the fight for the lead, and it's already looking like Erwin has found his rhythm here and is already challenging the soft tire users for the lead of this race, and already goes side by side, easily ahead of Jonej and leading the race once again. Aaron Dominguez following suit in third for the time being, trying to close the gap to Jonej, who is now being demoted back to second place. You might have some other fights potentially coming up. I believe Sal Roll Rice trying to have a little look at Timo Gertz, or it might have been Gabriel and the Aston Martin in 5th place, trying to see if there's any opening with Candy King's race pace there, challenging him for 4th, because they're very close together as well. We can also see the hard tire users dropping up a lot of pace. City Sly Guy, for example, having lost connection to the group ahead, as has David Diaz. They're going for the long run, and I wonder if there's going to be a 2 or a 1 stopper. Especially for those on the soft tires, and with Beaver now in big trouble, and his tires falling off sooner than the rest, his race might have been over already. But do not give up is all I'd like to say, because the race is long. There's 33 laps of them on Portimao tonight. Meaning there's still a lot of things that can happen and potentially will happen. AlphaTauri versus Red Bull in the meanwhile, a bit further back in the field as I'm keeping an eye in here for the lead of the race. There we go. Jonas is just retaking the lead like it's nothing, and Eric Coutin is letting it happen because he knows if he fights it, the rest of the group will just literally knock on their door and asking if they could have a pass as well for the lead. And that means, of course, it's safer to just let the car go and potentially work together here to increase the gap to the rest of the cars. Because so far we have plenty of cars keeping up, all the way down to Luke Mills, I believe, are still within 1 second of one another. It's in fact Romain Duchesne, the first car from 12th outside of a second. Was there contact there though between Luke and Magic? Looked like Magic was pushed a little bit wide from our point of view, but they're still going safely there. The fighting though has caused them to get just outside of a second. And as I say that, they do move back to within DRS range, just barely though. It might be a challenge for Luke to catch back up. If he can't get DRS here, the group ahead will just storm away with a big DRS train. I think he's just barely going to make it. Luckily for him and Magic, so they can stay together. In the meanwhile, the change for the lead Part 5 is happening right now as we see Aaron Coutin changing back into the lead once more, and it's now Aaron Ramirez getting very, very close as well. I wonder how much of a cooperative situation we'll have when he mingles himself into the fight. And we have Gabriel Decaux just patiently waiting behind in 4th place. It's Candy King who's starting to lose connection to the main group. Let's see if he has any DRS. I don't believe he has any more. Although he just gained some time, so he might have just had. It's very close, it's very tight, and it's very interesting to see this all unfolding so far. If you just tuned in, Beaver started in 2nd place. He's been dropped down the order due to contact with himself and Jonas Dovjean, who's still challenging Eric Coutin for the race lead. In the meanwhile, Romain Duchesne has been receiving a 3-second time penalty already, which is a pretty discouraging sign for him. He's also not able to keep up with the speed of the top 11, as he got a group of cars behind him, just barely staying within DRS range of himself. There we go then. Looks like Jonas Dovjean's tires are starting to drop off, allowing Aaron Ramirez to place an attack. They're going very tight together. They're both getting sucked towards the Ferrari. Eric Coutin probably realizing they're having a lot of speed, but Jonas, oh my goodness! More contact between himself and another driver, and for some miraculous reason, the front wing of Aaron's Mercedes is still intact. At least as far as we can see there, as he's getting wide again. Potentially you might have damage then, but look at that. A very feisty defense from the men in the McLaren, and immediately Gabriel Decaux decides to make the most of the situation and breezes into 2nd place. Although breezes might not be the right word. We see Aaron Ramirez potentially coming back, and now Jonas has been demoted to 4th place. Those soft tires slowly but surely starting to lose their grip. So I wonder when he's going to come in, but look at how close the racing is. Just decides to go for an attack again. As long as the tires works, he thinks, I'm just gonna go for it, end quote. Look at that, Aaron Ramirez now being demoted back to 4th place again. For a moment he had that 2nd place, as we see Timo Gerts going side by side with Candy King. Very tight racing all through the field. Immediately a roll race can be involved there as well as the other Aston Martin of Romain Foulon has been knocking on their doors as well. But immensely tight racing there. Did I just see anybody go into the pit lane? It's Aaron. Yes, I'm afraid he does have front wing damage. That would be very grave news indeed. Let's see if there's any quick awesome racing going on there. The other Mercedes now gone into the top 6, and I'm afraid the front wing is getting replaced of this car. There we go. So there was damage, just not visually visible for us. And now Eric Coutin, thanks to all the hard fighting here from 2nd place downwards, has been able to create quite the sizable gap to the rest of the field. 1.8 seconds and counting. So, The top 5 suddenly looks quite a little bit different. We have now Timo Gerts, who's moved into the top 5 thanks to the shenanigans of Aaron and Janesh. We had this man, the Gabriel, momentarily into second place. Janesh has retaken that position. But now the man in the McLaren has been into contact with 2 cars fighting for this position. I wonder if the FIA will have anything to say about it. But it's nice to watch nonetheless. You know, commentators do like drama, to be fair. Lap 9 has just started. Erwin has a 2-second lead over these cars, still fighting for a position. It's Gabriel Decombe once again taking a second place from Janesh, who has no longer got DRS, of course, to Erwin. And dying tires to get alongside with it. We see now Candy King, Timo, Raoul, Romain all knocking on the door. I wonder how things will turn out here. Beaver now with a 3-second time penalty. Is they couldn't get much worse. We get confirmation in the chat that the top 15 will score points, which of course is great news for most of these drivers. All but 3 of them. It'd be terrible if you finish 16th or lower when the top 15 gets points. George and City Sly Guy still fighting for a position. Noé Grosjean slowly making his way back up the field. But it is a challenge and a half. We see one ABS member doing really well, the other one not so much. But look at Gabriel. He's just closed the gap to Erwin by 6 or 7 tenths of a second within 1 lap. That is promising. Janesh definitely no longer has the pace to challenge for the position, as his tires have been dropping up for a while now, but he's still going for another lap. Lap 10 out of 33 has just started. Looks like Timo might potentially go for a move if he can close that gap, but he can't. Candy King is too quick on the main straight. Speaking of AlphaTauri, the other AlphaTauri is still fighting with the other Alfa Romeo as George Shockley moves back ahead in 13th place. Ahead of Silly Sly Guy with Noé Grosjean waiting behind, still in 15th position. And the points are getting further and further away. Although thankfully for him, 15th place still pays for a point. Look at the speed that this man has. He's just closed the gap to within a second to the race leader. So the fight for the lead is back on, I'm afraid. Although this corner wasn't particularly brilliant there for Gabriel Decombe, as he's just lost several tenths in one corner once again. Candy King is struggling to keep up with the McLaren ahead. I think Janesh is thinking, as long as I have DRS, I still have pace, despite my tires getting worse and worse all the time. Very, very interesting. Really wonder if they can go for a one-stop if they go on the softs. I wonder if Aaron can get to the end, now that he had to come in very early due to his front wing braking. As Beaver fights with David for 16th place, overtakes him. All the while we have Romain and Raoul fighting for a position there. Raoul trying to stay in position, tries to go around the outside, back into 6th place. But it is Romain who closes the door, makes the Aston Martin quite wide, goes a bit twitchy there on the throttle. Maybe Raoul can come back here. Is it going to be a move in the next corner? No, there isn't. Raoul keeps it safe. But the racing, nonetheless, still incredibly close between these 5 drivers. Then a little bit ahead we have 4 drivers fighting for 2nd place. Looks like Gabriel, after all, was not able to close the gap enough to stay within DRS range of Erwin, who is now 1.5 seconds, more or less, up the road. As David is now the next driver to get a penalty. Now we have 3 drivers with a 3-second time penalty. And we're now about a third into this race. Most likely means that the first drivers will be going for an official pit stop quite soon. Especially if you're driving around on those soft tires. Well, Janesh is quite happy to keep going now that DRS is still available to him. Although the gap is slowly getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Let's see how the batteries are doing, by 27% for Gabriel. But Erwin Kruten's battery is doing quite a bit worse, which might be bad news for the race leader. I wonder if he can keep the gap stable like that. As long as he doesn't get DRS from behind, he might be quite safe. Especially if those drivers behind keep fighting like they were a few laps ago. We have a pit stop from George. Chalkley going for the hard tires. Looks like an official pit stop to me. He was on the mediums. So that, to be fair, might be quite early. Once again, Gabriel just barely within DRS range. He needs some brilliant corner exits if he wants his his rear wing open on the next possible straight. But it is a challenge and a half to keep up with the man in the Ferrari. He's very, very quick tonight. He's only lost the lead on a couple of occasions, and on all of those cases he just let the other driver go, only to re-overtake him on the next lap. And that is smart racing. It looks like Gabriel will be having DRS on this lap. The rear wing will be opening, allowing him to close the gap and challenge the race leader. Look at the battery light flashing for Erwin's car. That means he's in trouble. He will be in trouble. The gap is shrinking and shrinking. The race leader is losing time across the lap here. I wonder if he's eaten up his tires by pushing very hard to create the gap he had. He had 2 seconds at the biggest point during this race. Now he's got an Aston Martin in his rear view mirrors getting bigger and bigger. The top 10 still within 1 second of one another. It's actually Raoul's just lost that 1 second gap to the car ahead of Romain Foulon. Would it be interesting if Romain and Noé switched first names? They would actually have another Romain Grosjean. "13 laps gone, almost." We have some Erwin fans in the chat. Good to see you there, Hadrick. I hope I pronounced it correctly. I'll just literally read it off the screen there. Still wondering when this man is going to come in, potentially for an undercut. And as we speak, in he goes for his pit stop. I wonder which tires he'll be taking on. Might be the hard tires since it's only lap 14. He's not the only one to come. It's Raoul Reyes coming in for a pit stop as well. He can't switch to the hard tire, sorry. To the mediums, I should say, as we see Crythelum overtaking Romain Desjemay for 9th place. Well, actually, temporary 9th place. The Williams still behind one another. Luke Mayall's in 8th, Crythelum in 9th place for now. Let's see, Jonash has indeed gone for the medium tires, which means you'll have to make them run for a long time. 20 laps to be precise. Let's see if he can save them until the end of this race. For now, he could do the undercut and go for the lead of the race. The question is, can he keep it once those tires are starting to drop off? I also wonder what these drivers will be going to. Will they be going long and then go to the softs? Or will they be going early and then switch to the hard tires? Either way, it's an interesting race to watch. Timo Geurts. And if you're wondering why you're pronouncing that last name so strangely, that's actually how you pronounce it in Dutch. Since I'm Dutch myself, I'm having a very easy time pronouncing last names from Dutch drivers. Look at these two fighting once again for the lead. Is Erwin going to fight it? He's taking it easy once again. As I said before, the man is smart. He lets Gabriel Decombe go into turn 1. Only to get DRS himself and potentially re-overtaking over on the next lap. But it looks like Gabriel went a little bit wide and a bit twitchy there on the back straight. Potentially allowing to Erwin to regain the lead already. But no, he stays behind. The gap was just slightly too big. And there we have the other Aston Martin going too wide into the corner. Or potentially a tap there from Candy King. As we saw him trying to steer in. And then going a bit twitchy. Going too much forward, as if he couldn't brake, or was getting tapped from behind. I wonder what happened there. Wasn't possible to see what exactly was the problem there. But if it is a tap from behind, Candy King might have front wing damage, as he suddenly starts to lose quite a bit of time to the Aston Martin, and now has magic on his rear. That's one of the weirdest sentences I've ever said. Nonetheless, We'll see here that Erwin will most likely retake the lead. Wonder when any of these drivers are going to come in. As I said, they might just go long. If they can keep these tires alive for about 20 laps, they might switch to the softs. As they've already seen Jeunesse be proven to them that the soft tires can last about 13, 14 laps until they are really too slow to continue. But I think the McLaren was lucky that he stayed in DRS range for so long, allowing him to keep the pace with the medium runners. I'm not sure if he could have had that pace had he been alone. And now he's alone on the mediums, fresh mediums, so to say. Oh, but he needs to save. Now, I thought for a moment there that Romain was drifting through the corner, but I think that was a bit of a game glitch going on there. His car is just looking very stable right now. Portimao has now reported to the top 2, but his battery light is flashing. It is below 10%, as you can see over there on the screen for a little while. Let's see how the others are doing. 35 against 27%. So Timo is going to have a challenge catching up to them. As long as he has DRS though, he should be perfectly fine. The half-point way of the race is officially here now as we approach the 17th lap of the Portimao Grand Prix. Here in the competitive speed series, if you just tuned in, plenty of things have happened already, and of course something else is happening again as we see Gabriel Descombe retaking the lead once more from Erwin Crutin. Quite sure they're working together to keep Timo Geurts behind, and look at that, Magic has gone for a pit stop, has gone for the hard tires. Of course, if he stops this early, he's got no choice but to go to those tires. And of course, Jeunesse is passing him nice and easy. His teammate might potentially pass him as well as he exits the pit lane. Look on the minimap there. Yes, he gets past. He's being chased down by Raoul. And of course, Aaron himself, who had a tap with Jeunesse in the start of the race when they were fighting for second place, is on the back foot still. Still praying for a safety car to happen. But other than those two accidents, the race is relatively clean. The GS team is doing really well tonight with Romain and Gabriel, both Frenchmen, just like the ABS racing team has 2 Frenchmen in their cars tonight. I think France can be really proud of their drivers in this series. They're doing really quite well. The only Dutchman, though, is in trouble as Romain is attacking him for 3rd position. In the meanwhile, Erwin has actually decided to stay behind, just literally pushing the Aston Martin through turn 1, as the second green car is now up in the podium places as well. I think Jeunesse is hoping that these drivers will fight hard, so he can make the undercut work even better. The problem is that they are not fighting hard at all, and just letting one another pass to keep the racing as smooth as possible and to lose as little time as they can, because I think that is most crucial right now for all of these 4 drivers. Make it 5, in fact. I think Candykin can still be counted as fighting for the lead. He's just within a second. Aaron Raminguez gets a time penalty as well for track limits. Just like Beaver's race, it's the race is thrown down the drain for him. He was doing really well. The only thing they both have in common is contact with Jeunesse. Which of the drivers will yield first and go into the pit lane? None of these two. None of the other 2 drivers behind. Candy King is continuing on as well. Let's see what Mizzy does. It is actually Luke Mills who decides to go in as Erwin Crutin once again reclaims the lead of the race. If you're wondering why you're not more excited about it, it's because these 2 have been trading positions every other lap so far. And they're just doing it to make sure they lose as little time as possible to this man, I'd say. Oh dear, Noé Grosjean now with a 3-second time penalty. The penalties are racking up quickly now. Noé is having a nightmare of a race, I think it's safe to say. While his teammate is having a brilliant race so far. I like the views from some of the camera angles where you can see the other drivers zooming in the background on other parts of the track. Quite like that. It's also, I believe, the first actual time that I've properly commentated on a race here in Portimao, as this track is not really used that often in league racing, to be honest. This, of course, not being a proper league, it's a series where leagues provide teams to race against one another. You still could say I haven't commentated on Portimao in any league yet, despite this. More drivers in the pit lane, of course, it's Gabriel there as well. We see a fight here for second place now with the other Aston Martin and Timo, who's going to go side by side with the Aston Martin of Romain Foulon. And up he goes into second place, of course. That is only temporarily, as we'll see where they come out once all of the pit stops have happened. I'd say community esports teams, if you want the exact answer. Thank you for that. It's always nice to know the official terms that should be used. And I'm still remembering to show the race director at the end of the race. Whoa, Candy King is having some trouble with his tires there. They're still all going very long, and look at that. Already we see the first switches to the soft tires. It's Gabriel Descombe, it's Luke Mills, it's Mizi, it's Romain Deschmay, all on the soft tires. Now the question is, how much ground can they make up in the remaining laps? Of course, it's Gabriel was fighting with Janesh, and the gap between himself and Janesh is now almost 6 seconds. Thanks to the undercut that Janesh just placed. But look at this, more drivers coming in. Timo staying out for the extra lap of fresher soft tires. Might work well for him in the end, but might be problematic here soon. Janesh now a technical race leader once again. Timo still going there. City Sly Guy on the hard tires still going now in third place for the time being. That is very interesting indeed on those hard tires. He'll be switching to the softs. He's probably realized that the mediums work just as well when you go for a second stint on the softs. Now the fuel has been mixed quite properly. Magic has done the undercut as well, but he's on the hards. He'll be in big trouble when Gabriel Descombe arrives. Raoul Reyes is in the mix now in 7-lap old hard tires. He's got the potential race leader there. Behind him, as Erwin has also lost quite a lot of time to Janesh. We'll soon see how big the gap is once Timo comes in. If Timo doesn't come in at the end of this lap, I'll be surprised. There he goes. For the soft tires, obviously, as well. If he goes to the hard, I'll be even more surprised. And Janesh will be inheriting the lead from Timo. City Sly Guy is still out there as well. He should probably be coming in too. There you go. And now we'll see the gaps to the race leader. Now we'll see how big the undercut has been. As we see Magic fighting Gabriel, or vice versa actually. As Gabriel takes second place from the Alpine car. Raoul still in fourth, but for how long? That's the question. As Erwin Crutin is impatiently waiting. And a big lag spike, nearly looking like he lost the car there. But he's in trouble. It looks like Raoul Reyes is not easy to pass, but now he'll be having DRS. It's Raoul Reyes going defensive on the inside. Is he going to brake late? He's trying to brake late as he possibly can. And he tried to defend valiantly, but Erwin is just too fast as he moves ahead of the Mercedes. Up into fourth place he goes. 3 seconds to the next car, then another second plus another 3 seconds. 7 seconds to the race leader on those soft tires. Will they last long enough to catch Janesh? How well are these tires still doing? They're 8 laps old. He gone in for a very early stop. So, as I said a few laps ago, he's got to make sure he keeps those tires well alive. Once those soft tire users catch up. But look at this. Gabriel Descombe is quickly shrinking the gap. It was 3 seconds half a lap ago. It's been shrunk to nearly 2 seconds now. This race is all but over. There's still plenty of things coming down the pipeline there, as now Gabriel goes for the fastest lap of the race. How long will it stand though? Look at this. It's the next car overtaking Raoul. It's Romain Foulon. for 5th position now. Up he goes on those fresh softs as well. Next to catch him is Candy King, followed by Luke Mills. Shouldn't forget in the back of the field though, I think there's quite a lot of things going on there. 4 cars there fighting for a position, both Red Bulls versus an Alfa Romeo and a Williams. So look at that, Craig Thielem is trying to go around the outside and it's destroyed George's race. There was definite contact there, but was it a race incident or a proper contact where one could be seen as guilty? That is the big question, but it has brought out the safety car and it has ruined this man's strategy. Although it might, of course, save his tires, he was having a sizable lead and hoping that these tires would drop off. But this is interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them all going into the pit lane for another fresh set of soft tires, especially those on the hards. They'll be relieved. Aaron especially will be happy to go for another stop. And this has saved the race of many drivers who had fallen behind early in the race. And yes, there we go, Jeunesse coming in, everybody's coming in. No surprises there. However, it is Erwin Coutin who decides to continue on, and not only him, but it is Romain Foulon also going on there. And several others. Timo, of course, the latest to pit, can continue on as well. Because, you know, it will save, he's going for track position over fresh tires. He thinks that 2 laps difference isn't that big, and to be fair, he's right. But by the end of the race, it might make all the difference. Misi has stayed out, Craig Thielem has stayed out as well, and suddenly we have once again a very mixed field. Those who were driving at the rear of the field suddenly find themselves in the front. Of course, Craig Thielem being one of them. Misi, well, he was in the midfield somewhere. Janesh, well, he's the first of those who pitted. He's now in 6th position. See, Sly Guy stayed out as well, finds himself in 9th place all of a sudden. And Beaver and Romain Desmay, both Red Bulls, have gone for the mediums. With most likely 9 laps remaining when the safety car comes in. I wonder if that's the right choice. It might be towards the very tail end of the upcoming 9 laps, but I'm afraid they might not have the edge in time. The Euro Titans esports team on the mediums. We'll soon find out whether the choice was right or not. The first DNF of this season comes from George Chalkley of the Elite Racing team. He'll not be pleased because there was contact involved with Craig Thielem. He was probably tapped by the Williams. It's always difficult to see from a helicopter view what exactly happened. So, whether it's a racing incident or not, it's not up to me to decide. That's up to the FIA if George decides to report it. Then potentially Craig Thielem might be in trouble. Probably one of the reasons why they decided to stay out. To gain that track position. And they probably think the further I find myself in the front of the field, the lower the chance of collisions. Because there's only 4 cars ahead of me. And that equals less danger. But there's a very feisty driver behind in Jeunesse Dovjan. We've seen him having his own series of contacts through this race with Beaver, Aaron Raminguez being the other one. Is the safety car going to come in? It is. Safety car in this lap. And that means Erwin is going to lead the field. He does have a penalty though. Let's have a quick look. It's a 5-second penalty from the pit lane, I'm afraid. That's no good. 5 seconds to his name. His teammate in 16th place, out of the points, just barely. But this is bad news. If he can have the pace, though, to create a 5-second gap, and I wouldn't be surprised if he has. Oh, of course, the Aston Martin team, the GS Gaming team, has been very quick as well. He's not really allowing the safety car to go that far ahead. The safety car is officially in now, and off he goes, but it looks like Romain was quite awake, but look who's been even more awake. Misi was very, very much awake as he challenges Timo for the 3rd position. Not only him, but Kraithilen very much awake as well. Now, actually, it was Janesh who was more awake than that, though, as he moves up to 5th position. Can Misi go into 3rd place? Up he goes, pushing Timo a little bit wide, allowing the other McLaren to go through as well. As they go into the back straight, off track though. Was that an illegal overtake? He stays behind for the time being, but it's side by side. Can he break round the outside? Can he keep it there? It's Timo and contact once again. Same case there with the 2 drivers behind. Kraithilen versus Gabriel there for 6th position. Going around the outside, and Kraithilen wisely deciding not to defend it in the inside line. Now down to 7th place, but still every opportunity to take some positions potentially. However, he's now in between all of those cars who are on fresh soft tires. Magic being one of them as well. And now Eric Rutten gets another 3-second time penalty to his name, making his race even more difficult. He's got 8 seconds worth of time penalty, when if this race would finish right now, he would be completely thrown off the podium and potentially even out of the top 10. So once again, lucky that the top 15 gets points, but fights are happening all over the track. Eric Rutten has got a mighty job ahead of him to create 8 seconds of a gap to the next car with just about 7 laps remaining right now. It's going to be a hell of a job to get it done. 1.1 seconds after 1 lap. If he keeps it up, he might just be able to do it, but it really depends on how hard those drivers behind are going to fight. Both McLarens, both WOR cars now behind Romain Foulon. Look, I like that silly sly guy fighting with Kraithilen. Once again trying to go around the outside. Has he successfully done it? It looks like he has. Yes, there we go. Another driver attacking the Williams there. Magic going on the inside. And Kraithilen probably regretting the fact that they haven't pitted as they're tumbling down the order. It's a very difficult race right now. Those fresher soft tires are working much better than their 6-lap-old soft tires. It's a bit of a downfall there for the Williams car. Luke Mills in 12th place. Once again, it looks like GRS not really having a great night. Already the battery is screaming for relief on Erwin's Ferrari. They're now 1.6 seconds. They need to create a second of a gap per lap in order to retain a race win. So far, he's done 1 second on the previous lap, 0.6 of a second on this lap. It's going to be a problem then, potentially. Hopefully for him, the drivers behind will start fighting hard as DRS is now enabled. Janesh and BZ doing all they can to work together and catch Romain, but they should watch behind as well. In fact, it's a few places back. It's now Candy King pushing Kraithilen out of the top 10. Is their teammate Luke Mills is in there as well. Of course, Kraithilen not fighting him as hard as they've been fighting the other cars. But my goodness me, action everywhere as Luke Mills is now sizing up the next car to get past. David Diaz is fighting with Romain Deschamais, and I'm sure that both Red Bull cars are regretting their decision to go for the mediums for the time being, with soon 5 laps to go. I wonder if it's going to work out, but once again he's passing David Diaz for position there as he's throwing in everything, every part of his car to make sure he gets ahead. Gabriel versus Timo. Timo would really like to keep the position. His 6-lap-old soft tires are not that much older than the rest of the field. So he's doing relatively well, trying to keep up with the McLaren cars ahead to make sure he's got DRS. Still 1.6 seconds between Erwin and Romain. Still Romain on his way to a race win. But unless, of course, Janesh has anything to say about it. And something to say about it he will have. If we know and remember his previous actions on track, as Beaver retires in the pit lane, realizing that those mediums are no longer going to work out, and their team has pretty much lost points by that decision. I was about to say things are starting to calm down, but it's all but calming down. It's now City Sly Guy moves up another place. Despite his older tires, he's doing an incredible job. Magic now fighting with Gabriel. Gabriel's losing all the places there. He's now moved down to 7th place as we see Raul and Magic almost coming together, as Magic now probably might have gotten pushed wide. Gets a 3-second time penalty nonetheless, has been moved down to 9th place. It's almost impossible to keep up with every single fight, but I'm doing my best. At some point we'll have to pick a fight and watch. And I think we'll be switching to this one with Romain versus Janesh. The fight that Erwin Curtin is hoping will end up in catastrophe. Holding up the rest of the field until he's 8 seconds ahead, more or less. Which is unlikely, of course, but you never really know. 4 laps to go. And there goes Janesh into 2nd place. Romain letting him past. Knowing he still has every opportunity to get back past him for that 2nd place. And potentially, of course, the race win. I believe we saw Raul and Magic still fight for 8th position. Raul having to back out. Noé Grosjean getting ahead of Carthelum. Yeah, Carthelum, I'm sure, is ruining their decision to go for track position over fresh tires. Look at that, the car now getting very nervous. Soft tires being 9 laps old, and that means Romain Desmais' tires are now at the better set amongst the two of them. Whoa, try to have a look on the inside. Not only him though, everybody is trying to have a look on the inside of Carthelum. Pretty much, as long as they're in the back of the field. And not only there, it's also Aaron and Noé Grosjean fighting for a position. 2 very quick drivers who should be in the front of the field are now fighting for 12th and 13th place. That's really not what they want, but they're points nonetheless, so they'll do everything to get the best position possible. Look at just a few cars ahead of them. It's Luke Mills trying to get past Raul Race once again. They're side by side just ahead of the Magic and Gabriel fighting as well. It looks like Raul has gone incredibly wide. Now Timo's got a 3-second time penalty too. So these penalties will be changing the field by quite a bit. Silly Sly Guy versus Mizi, and who can keep position? Contact there. Silly Sly Guy tries to get back on the track, but Mizi was still there. Not sure if he saw him. Should have, as there's always red arrows beside your car. Mizi now demoted to P5. This, of course, is good news for Erwin. Whoa, very late braking there from Mizi. Now he's got Timo still behind him. Where can they go? Soon there's only 2 laps remaining. And disaster might unfold at any corner of this race. Kenny King, in the meanwhile, is trying to keep several cars behind. Noé Grosjean is on a charge still to get as many points for the team as possible. He probably already knows that Erwin is in trouble thanks to all of those penalties. Timo almost went side by side with Mizi, but instead in turn Mizi goes side by side, and all of them go wide pretty much. Silly Sly Guy is suddenly seeing cars literally everywhere around him. It's almost 5 wide into the corner, which is practically impossible. But they're also somewhat doing it almost. Timo is the big loser of this big fight, as Luke Mills is suddenly finding himself almost in the top 6. Look at this, the racing is so immensely close. Oh, it's Gabriel, it's Luke, it's Timo, it's Mizi, they're all fighting for P6 right there. Sly Guy, thankfully for himself, got out pretty much unharmed, all of them going wide again. Warnings and penalties getting handed out left, right and center in these final 1.5 laps. The race is nearly over, but what an action we've seen everywhere around track. They know they can score points on almost every position. Only Noé is outside of the points. Looks like he's had a bit of a problem there while trying to overtake. His charge is over now. Oh my goodness, Timo goes onto the grass fighting for a position. And not only him, but you see the Aston Martin there, I believe, of... Yep, Gabriel Decombe has gone onto the grass as well. The fighting is this aggressive. that everybody is getting pushed left, right, and center all the way over the track. Every bit, literally every bit of the track and off the track is being utilized by these drivers. Look at this! An absolute brilliant move. It's Timo Gers going absolutely nuts. He's on an orange fury right now as he surpasses like 5 cars in 2 corners. Or at least it looked like that. Everybody was going wide and Timo said, thank you very much. I'll happily take all of your positions and I'll see you later. A crazy final lap here in this race, and of course the fight for second place should not be understated. We still have Romain versus Janesh. Where can they go? Their batteries are running out. Janesh needs to take the perfect opportunity. He's pushing the Aston Martin now. He's trying to force him into a big mistake. He's got only several opportunities to go. I think the only proper thing he can do now is go on the inside in this corner. Is he gonna go for it? No, it's a bit too dangerous, of course. Losing third place is not worth going for the dive bomb, because those points are worth more than that. But it is Erwin Coutin coming across the line in first. He will not retain that lead though, as Romain inherits the race win. Janesh comes in second. Magic is inheriting the third position as Erwin Coutin is pushed down to 5th. Luke comes home in 4th. He'll be very pleased with that one. It's Raoul in P6, City Sly Guy in P7, Quartilum, after everything that happened, still in P8 somehow. That is an incredible race result. I'm surprised too. Luke in 4th place. Of course, we do not know if the 5-second penalty is going to be removed, but it's most likely Erwin's own fault. So it's unlikely that will happen. And of course, there's plenty of track limit penalties that have happened. The FIA might have a look at. But this man, for now, is crowned the winner. Romain Foulon from the GS Gaming team, coming out victorious after starting 10th. Now that is impressive. Quick race results for you here. Candy King rounding off that top 10. AlphaTauri having a good day, aka the OP racing team. So let's see what's happened here. All the tires used. There you go. And the race results for you once again. As you can see, plenty of penalties. Magic has made up 10 places. Brilliant job. City Sligo will be very satisfied, as is Quartilum, probably very happy themselves. Roman Dismay from last, still done quite well. So I think plenty of the drivers will be satisfied with their performances. Some of them will not. Beaver, for example. And I'm quite sure the FIA will have something to say about several incidents that happened here tonight. Of course, we should not forget that we might have several interviews with some of the drivers, so let's hope some are available for a bit of a chat. Let's see if anybody is willing to join. I mean, of course, of the top 3. That being Romain Foulon, Janesh, Dovjan, or perhaps Magic. If they're up for it. Timo isn't up for it, but to be fair, he didn't end in the top 3. With that, man, I need a bit of a drink for my voice after this race. It's been very, very hectic. Absolutely lovely to see. There's plenty of chattering going on in the driver's chat in the Discord. Romain Dismay talking about his teammate who was fighting for the lead. Beaver saying he had a great time nonetheless. Timo is very unhappy with the final few laps, which is fair enough. Looks like, though, nobody is in for an interview, which is fine by me. Of course, it's not required, it's not forced, so would have still been interesting to hear from some of them about their experiences on track. Either way, that means this first race of the season is coming to a close. Portugal has provided us with brilliant racing. Next week we'll be on the other side of the world, in Australia. Albert Park circuit. Let's see how the drivers will fare there. Let's see if ABS can improve their luck a little bit. They've been off to not as brilliant as a start that they probably would have liked. Of course, there's still some FIA inquiries coming in soon. Let's see what they're having to say about the incidents we've been seeing on track, especially in the first and final few laps of the race. And of course the incident between Carthelum and George Shockley that caused the safety car to come out. Other than that, thank you very much for joining me tonight. It was a brilliant race. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. I'll see you next week. Australia, same time, same place. Until then, goodbye.